Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Sempre Milan bonus podcast on Substack. This week, we are going to be doing a bit of a deep dive on the first signing of the January transfer window, Niclas Fulkrug, and what he can potentially bring to Milan in the second half of the season. Merry belated Christmas to one Mr. Benjamin Dixon.
Thank you very much, and to yourself and those joining us on here. If you're not, then Christmas wishes are just not eligible, I guess.
No, you'll have to wait your turn for the New Year's wishes.
And even then, you'll be lucky to get them. Do you have a good festive period so far?
Yes, mate. Yeah, all good. Nice and I guess quiet, normal. Just me and the parents, and kind of one of those, isn't it, where the days between Christmas and New Year, you just sort of forget where you are.
Yeah.
So today's a Saturday, but it's the least Saturday feeling Saturday of the entire year. But yeah, Town got 3 big points on Boxing Day, so we can't moan, can we? 5-star Terriers. And yeah, what about you?
Yeah, I went back home. Was back home for a week. Pretty chill, pretty normal, pretty hectic, but chill. Family, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then came back down yesterday. Went to the horse races, won money. Came back working again. Like you say, festive period. I've checked about 6 times today to make sure it's actually Saturday, because it hasn't felt like it's Saturday.
And
which is
the Lord Jesus Christ has blessed us with the Sunday early kickoff against Verona, so that'll be fun.
What everyone wants. That's
the gift under the tree.
Oh yeah, you check the fixture list and you go, who have we got on the Sunday after Christmas? And it's 11:30 against Verona. Who wouldn't want that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a stark contrast to a year ago when it's almost exactly a year ago, I should say, when Paulo Fonseca was taking charge of his last game. That draw against Roma, which proved to be the end for him. Sergio Conceição is in less than 24 hours later. So what we hoped would be a quiet festive period last year turned into probably the most intense ever. Because obviously there's no break in fixtures either anymore. So this time it is quite nice just to have a game and not an awful lot more drama. But that being said, we've got a signing to talk about. He's already here. He won't be officially announced, we gather, until the window opens on January 2nd. Therefore, his debut won't be until potentially that Cagliari away trip on that day. The FIGC have signed off on like a special order to say that players that sign on transfer deadline, you know what I mean, the opening of the transfer window, can actually play that day. So it looks like he's going to be fine. It's Niclas Fulkrug, who has arrived, or will arrive, I guess. He's in training at the moment, on loan from West Ham United with an option to buy that was initially rumoured to be 12-13 million euros, somewhere in that ballpark. And it's turned out it's going to be 5 million euros, as per most of the widespread and reliable reports. So that's quite a big difference, you know. I guess we go straight for the initial reactions. You know, what are we thinking about the player? What are we thinking about the structure of the deal? Where does this move the needle for the team?
I liked it at 13 million as a buy option, and I like it a lot more at 5 million. Put simply, I think it is the lowest risk move that we can make that you've got the highest potential with. We've known since Allegri's coming, even before that we've needed a physical centre forward, somebody that is a presence in the box, and as much as Pulisic and Leao have been able to be nuisances in the box, and even Jimenez, like, I mean, we've spoken however many times about Jimenez and kind of his ability to work around in the box and take away from other people, so Pulisic can make that dart and run at the back post, something like that. Fulkrug isn't that, but he's still very much that distraction in the box and somebody that defenders have to pick up. Allegri has asked for this profile for however long now, so just from that alone, it's inspiring that we have got that in. Of course, it's not the option, because as much as Fulkrug is here, he's also being already overshadowed by the fact that Vlahovic might come in the summer and looks increasingly likely to at this moment. So it's good in that sense, where I feel like the pressure already is sort of off him, because there is no kind of expectation on him to hit the ground running. He is a player that has done very little for the past 18 months, and you're getting him on a deal where you're spending £5 million if he comes good in the summer. If he doesn't, then you've spent half a season's wages on somebody that probably isn't earning too much anyway. I really like it, and I think that it's a very easy way to see whether it works as a system, to see whether he works alongside Leao and Pulisic, and more importantly, whether they work alongside him or somebody physical. And then also, you've got the kind of sense of, well, do we need that physical striker, or is it just a case of Leao and Pulisic are the people that we want to have playing forward, and then do you then save 7 to 12 million a year on Vlahovic or somebody else of that kind of profile? So there's obviously a difference in quality there, but I think for what it is, I think it's a really, really solid move.
Yeah, I like that. That's a nice positive spin on it, and it's more positive than I feel about it. So it's good when we can bring two contrasting viewpoints to the table, I suppose, because look, let's face it was a contentious summer window, and it remains so. I think there's a spectrum of how people feel about the way that some of the money was spent in the summer, but that is the starting point for the discussion of how we've ended up here, right? We never got that prototypical natural number 9 centre forward target man that Allegri wanted in the summer. And we kind of panicked into a last minute deal for Christopher Nkunku. We don't know who was the one who spearheaded that. Over the past week, I think leaks have come out from all sides about it was Tare's idea, it was Fellaini's idea, it was, so we don't know how that came about. Only the people in the room know about that. But it ultimately left a gap in the attacking jigsaw, if you like, and there is nobody natural to fill it, because even Santi Jimenez is the only proper striker in the group. First of all, not being in great form. Secondly, injured now. But thirdly, he's not a target man. You might stretch to say he's a good link-up forward, and when he's in confident rhythm, he can put the ball away with regularity. That's all good, but we know Allegri likes playing with a big man. Even though he said in a press conference the other week, if you look back at his teams, he never really has, and he's lying. He's had plenty of them. He does like to build his teams around a more natural striker. And I suppose this is that, but it's how you end up at a deal like this that I think should sow some seeds of doubt about, the planning for this season as a whole, and where the strategy might be next summer too, if this does prove to be a stopgap. I suppose, though, one of the plus points of all this is that we've, in theory, fixed. I don't even want to say fixed. We've addressed an issue really early. Like literally the minute the window opens, that deal will be done and dusted. I think otherwise, if we were to go for a Xerxes, who's an entirely different profile, or any of the other strikers that we've been linked with, it could have dragged on quite late into January. And there's plenty of points up for grabs in January that we should be going and taking. So I suppose it's a player ready to arrive immediately, to contribute immediately after a few training sessions and stuff like that. And yeah, I suppose as well, as you kind of alluded to, if I'm trying to view this through a positive lens, it'll teach us a bit about if it works or not. We'll know if we're going to go with a 3, and you got Leao, Pulisic either side. Again, I'm kind of paraphrasing what you said here, but if you go with that 3, or if you go with the 2, big and little, does that work? Is Fulkrug going to be an impact sub? And it turns out he does really well, so we should go out and spend money on that kind of profile. Maybe the Pellegrino at Parma or something like that. Someone who's more for the future, but can do that same thing. Also, tactically, will it work for us to go more direct? Will it increase our threat from set pieces? Things like that. We'll learn a bit by having Fulkrug around, depending on how many games he plays. And now we get to my concerns about this particular deal. I'm going to whack up the injury history here. I'll talk through it for those who are listening and not watching. It's pretty grim reading, I'm not going to lie. I'll go from, I don't know, let's go from the 2023-24 season onwards, just because that's more recent sample size. He didn't miss too much game time, admittedly, for Dortmund. He had a really good season that season, and we'll come on to the numbers. But he joined West Ham in the summer of 2024. He missed 16 games for club and country with an Achilles tendon problem in that season. He missed 12 games later that season with a hamstring issue. And this season he's also spent a bit of time out with a muscle problem. So yeah, he's had way more games missed than goals, which it's not good
difficult.
when it's a tough one because he's 32 now, and that is when the injuries do start to catch up with you a little bit. If we don't know how his time at West Ham has gone. It could have been that it was an absolute shit show that was doomed to fail because West Ham are not a good team. He didn't come into the right environment. Maybe he himself hasn't thrown himself into it in quite the same way because he was believed to want to join us over West Ham at the time before we turned elsewhere. But yeah, I'm just looking at that and wondering, for all of the debate that we can have about his performance level, his potential, his ceiling, his mold and everything, it's how many times we're going to see him on the pitch. That's what worries me.
Yeah.
I'll be surprised if we get 15 games out of him because we've only got the league as well.
Yeah, I think 15 games out of him is a bit out of the question because I think even when everybody's fit and say that he doesn't have any injury issues, I still think that he's going to be a cameo player at that point unless something superb happens anyway. And I think that Allegri's going to want to stick with the 3-5-2 with Pulisic and Leao if they're available, because why wouldn't you? It would take a lot to change that because I think this is what, again, we've got to fall back on, the sense of you're getting a loan deal out of this and you're getting 5 million quid in the summer. What kind of strikers are really going to accept that deal to be potentially second string for a full season? That's another thing that, although it's not Vlahovic, I don't think anybody's going to try and claim it to be Vlahovic. But you're paying a lot of money then if it doesn't work out for Vlahovic to sit on the bench, or you're paying a lot of money for Xerxes to sit on the bench, or X, Y, or Z. There are so many different things to it. You've then got our own finance